What's going on, everybody? I would like to welcome you to a special edition of the Pint Size Podcast. You're here with the marketing coach, Donovan Boyd, for the Marketing Minute. So I briefly want to speak to my authors in the world and, how to effectively brand yourself as an author. It is something that, it's really no different from branding yourself as a business person or a musician or a trainer, but just really understanding as an author who your audience is, who you're writing to, who will be consuming your content, specifically just like anything else, just really identifying who those people are that you will be speaking to, who you'll be writing to, based on what it is that you do and based on the reasons why you are becoming an author. I know a big thing for me was that I was a speaker. I was speaking at conferences or doing workshops, and I didn't have, any materials. I didn't have a book to sell. I didn't have any courses. So I thought that, it went good with my brand to now take some of my expertise, take some of my knowledge, and put it into something that I could sell, something tangible that the people could leave with. So that's how I developed my book. That's how my first book, The Brand Playbook, that's how I became an author. So I think that I had done some of the groundwork already, being respected in my field. So I think that, becoming an author was really like the next step for me. But in doing so, there were some different things that, I did to, make my career or better position my career as an author. I went out and found the right publishing that worked well for me at the time. So I wanted to be a better speaker. I wanted to speak more. And so I needed to align myself with someone who, was doing speaking engagements, and their book, was kind of their message that went along with their message. So their book was an extension of their message. So, that's key, making sure that what you're writing is an extension of what it is that you do. Okay. So I'm a marketing coach. I help small business owners come up with brand strategies, marketing strategies. So it made sense for me to write a book about branding and marketing, entrepreneurship. So that's where the Brand Playbook was birthed, and understanding that, okay, this is an extension of my work. This is an extension of what it is that I do, an extension of my brand. So with doing that, that's where it made it a little easier in identifying the concepts and different things that I needed to put in the book, because it was just a part of my life's work. It was part of what I was working through or going through on a day-to-day basis with different entrepreneurs or different things that I saw, for myself. Made sure that the websites was there, made sure that the book just fell in line with the overall brand in general. Now, if you are a situation where you are an author and it really does not align with a business model, or doesn't align with the brand that you already have established, then we have to understand, identify who we want to become as an author. Who do we want to become? Who are we speaking to as an author? And then that, once that foundation and that foundation is laid and we understand those answers, then we can start to develop the brand. What does the brand look like? How does the brand feel? How does the brand make people feel when they come in contact with it? That is very, very important. What type of books am I writing? Am I writing self-help books? Am I writing fiction, nonfiction? Am I writing scary stories? Am I writing romance novels? All those things are very important when we're developing the brand. And then also understanding what type of author you want to be, in the sense of, are you an author that you plan on being in the shadows? Okay. Does what you write about require you to now have speaking engagements, to now require you to teach workshops or webinars or speak at conferences. What does that look like for you? If you are an author who is going to write and just put out, a line of suspense novels or romance novels, and you're not really being in the scene or on the scene, then it's pretty much making sure that everything that you need to have in order from your writing standpoint is just on point. Making sure that people are falling in love with your writing, because that is your brand too. The strength of your writing. If you want to, you can dive into, what does my brand feel like from cover standpoints, presentation standpoint, but that, that all goes back to who you are as a writer, who you are as an author. So, I would say, get with you're a good graphic designer to make sure that they can bring your vision to life. If the budget is there, if not, there's awesome tools that you can find online, Canvas, or an app like Fiverr, to where you can go, you can create, your cover yourself, or you can send it off and you can get your cover done for some very affordable prices. So we just want to make sure that as authors, depending on the type of author that we are, we want to make sure that we have strong brands. We want to make sure that the foundations are laid and people understand who we are as an author. So it takes some time to really identify, who your audience is, who you're speaking to, the types of books that you're putting out, and then the type of author that you want to be. And then based on those things, you can put together the perfect presentation of who you are as an author. And then once you've done that and you've went through your different processes on editing and where your book's going to be distributed, once you've identified those processes, those avenues in which you're going to, your book is going to reach the masses, then you want to think about where you're going to place your books, where are you going to be, are you going to do trade shows, are you going to do vendor tables, or your book is just going to be specifically online, and that is a part of the overall marketing strategy on how you're going to release these books. No book should be released the same. I think that how you release your book is based on that brand. Based on the voice of the brand, the presentation of the brand, the overall feel of the brand, and what the brand really means. Because one author is not the same as another author. So what I do as far as traveling and holding events, things of that nature, of creating a platform in which I want to get my book seen and heard, might not be the same for someone who is putting out a romance novel. So you just really have to identify, who you are as an author and what that looks like, and then what strategies come best for you. I suggest, outside of, building the brand as an author, I suggest, getting some friends that are authors, get around people that are putting out books and putting out material like you, or that is not like you, just to learn some tricks of the trade, or just to learn the process. When you can figure out, simple things as, should I do self-publishing, or should I go to, should I pursue major publishing? And it just depends on the type of, author and the type of material that you're putting out, the content that you're putting out, because being a self-published author may work for you or may work for me, but you might need to have a major publishing company, because maybe you want your books to, reach more people much faster, and just depend on the type of work that you're doing. So I think it's all relative to who you are as an author. So I would say just spend that time figuring out who you are, what your voice is, and the type of people that you want to reach, and what your content is, and how you want it to reach the masses and reach the world. And that's how you really going to develop the brand of who you are. And just be true to your brand and make sure that your brand is authentic. You do not want to try to be like another author. You can take some tips or some strategies, but you still have to be unique. Your books, your content has to be unique to you. And that's what matters the most, because you don't want the material that you put out, or when it's time to speak about the material, it's not authentic and it's not who you are. So thank you for tuning in. This was a special edition of the Pint Size Podcast. It's the Marketing Minute with the marketing coach, Donovan Boyd. Stay tuned next week. Make sure you subscribe. Tell somebody about the Pint Size Podcast. Rate us. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio.